My name is Freddy. I play bass for sexually charged hard rock band Novacrow. Existentially confused progressive death metal project Crejuvant. I play for Famous Monsters, UK's #1 tribute to the Misfits, as opposed to all the other tribute bands to the Misfits. And I play bass for Rhythm Magician, wedding and function band based in Liverpool. And I do all sorts of other depping bits and pieces here and there. So the bass I use, so this is my main baby that's been terribly maltreated over the years. It's a Warwick Streamer LX 5-string. It's got maple body and oven call neck, and it is a powerhouse of an instrument. It's got active MEC pickups. It's got very tight string spacing, which is perfect for doing a bit sort of fast bits. And it just sounds massive. It handles my tuning with my ridiculous low tuning with ease and comfort. Yeah, it's a spectacular bass, and I would highly recommend it. And it comes in a lovely blue shade of blue, which as you can see, I've demolished over the years, but otherwise, it's great. It's handled years of abuse and beatings and on-stage mayhem, so it's great. Hello, cat. Yeah, my other secondary bass is Fender Squier. I think everyone should own a Fender. It is a standard bass that you can never go wrong with. It's a bit heavier than this one. The string spacing is a bit fatter, but it's perfect for covers or for anything sort of more pop orientated. Not that the Warwick isn't perfect for it, but just that has a sound that everyone knows. Yeah, again, it's a great little piece of gear. The tune I use for this one, primarily for the Warwick, is GCGCF. So for those of you less musically inclined, that's drop C on these 4 strings with a low G. I don't tend to use a low G too much because it's just messy and cluttery in general, but every now and then it just adds a bit of balls to it. And occasionally I will go up to high G, so emulates an open tuning for the few songs. This one pretty much stays in standard. I'll go down and drop half step down if needs be, but this one pretty much stays in drop C. Occasionally go to D standard, but yeah. I also do have a crappy P bass that I use for the Misfits for Famous Monsters, but decided not to bring that because it looks ridiculous. So from the bass goes into the Smoothhound wireless system. It is a fantastic little wireless system. It handles the low tunings perfectly. It's slightly cheaper than the commonly used Line 6. Chris from it was fantastic whenever I had to liaison with him. It sounds perfect, and it tends to not interfere with any other wireless systems, which is always a plus. Would highly recommend. That goes into just a tuner pedal. I use Korg Pitch Black just because it looks metal as fuck, but it is terrible for if you're ever playing outside because you can't see, but you know, that's just what happens. That goes into a Soundblocks 2 Manta bass filter, which I barely ever use because it is so insanely complicated, but I bought it mainly as just to play around with, but haven't gotten around to delving into the specifics. But it does have a built-in distortion, which is quite fuzzy and sort of metallic, and I do use that for one of the songs with Novacrow called Laughing Gas. Stupid phone dinging. That goes into the MXR bass compressor, which is an essential part of my rig, really. When I play with, especially with bands like Novacrow, where I just need the bass to be, ballsy, it makes the bass, like the waveform, look like a fat laser, which is exactly what I want. Especially when I'm jumping around on stage like a dumbass. It really helps maintain the consistency, and I love the fact that it's got a little gain reduction meter as well. I was a bit not annoyed, but initially when I first got it, I was a bit concerned about the fact that you could only change the ratio to 4, 8, 12, and 20. But turns out it's absolutely everything I ever need. I'll keep the ratio quite low, but I'll pump it up for the Misfit stuff because the bass is just terrible. That goes into a bass Big Muff, which is I use mainly for function stuff if I ever need it, and then it's just there as a backup in case I ever need some extra distortion. But most of that's taken care of by my amp. That goes into a Boss bass chorus. It's great, gets the job done. It's nothing too complicated. Let me get rid of that cable there. I use that every now and then just to make things sound pretty and magical. And that bass driver is, I honestly haven't used it for years, but I just realized that it has a built-in cab emulator, like an impulse response, which is fantastic for when DIing bass, which, let's face it, it's about 99% of the time live because sound guys hate us, I guess. So now I've been using that consistently through the effects loop of my amp just to get a cab emulation, essentially, which makes the distortion sound a lot less busy and harsh when coming through the front of house. And of course a little foot switch that goes with the amp. Which is this fantastic piece of modern day metal machinery, the Dark Glass 900 Microtubes 900. It's fantastic. I mainly use the B3K distortion in it when I play with like metal stuff, so Novacrow, Jubilant, or anything that requires that grit. And it's got just the right amount of controls. As soon as you get into too many options, then it just becomes bewildering and confusing, but that's like perfect. I will switch to the vintage for when I'm playing with Famous Monsters, because again I want that sort of almost ampeggy sound, and I'll use it every now and then for when I do function stuff. And if I need something with with the Fender Jazz, it just sounds fantastic. But if not, I will keep it clean for function stuff. It's extremely versatile, and it was probably one of the best £800 I've ever spent. So, hooray. Right now I'm going from that to an Ashdown cab. This is honestly just my housemate's cab. Like I said before, I tend to get cabbed anyways, DI'd anyways, like 90% of the time at live gigs, so the cab doesn't really matter too much. It's just for my own personal monitoring, so I can hear my own self and inflate my own ego live. But I think my ego's pretty much right up there, so I don't really need to divulge too much in cabs. I like this Ashdown though. It's relatively transparent. It lets me hear the dark glass with enough clarity and sustenance. And again, as long as it handles my low G string, then that's always a plus in my book. That's pretty much it. I'm looking at all three cameras now.